Hi guys. So today we are talking about pseudo seizures, also known as psychogenic non-epileptic seizures. And if you want me to do a video on what they are and everything, let me know in the comments below. But today we are doing a video on my recent trip to the ER. So last year in 2019, I was in the ER 29 times for psychogenic non-epileptic seizures. And this time was the worst possible time because the paramedics handled it so poorly, so awful. So I'm posting this on like Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it gets up. And so last Tuesday, I was at Starbucks, and sometimes I can feel, so I was doing some schoolwork, and then I could feel sometimes when my PNES is coming on, when the pseudo seizures are coming on, and I felt it. So I texted my mom. I was just like, and I haven't had one in a month from this time. So I was going strong for a good month. There was times where I couldn't even make it like a week or two without having a seizure, but this time I was going really strong for a month. And I was at Starbucks, the local Starbucks. And I texted my mom because the feeling just like came so strong, like shot through me. And I was like, I'm going to have a seizure. Because I originally was like, I was writing, doing school, and like doing my notes because I do online school. And I looked down my notes and I noticed this is my seizure handwriting. Because when I was in school last year, I noticed that when I was about to have a seizure, like right then and there, my handwriting would get really weird and just not look like a kindergartner's. And so I was like, I'm going to have a seizure. And I was like, nah, you're not going to have a seizure. So I continued to write a little bit more, like, focus on my schoolwork. And then it shot through me, the feeling. And I was like, I texted my mom really fast and I was like, Mom, come pick me up. Mom, come pick me up. I'm going to have a seizure. And I was like, the feeling's coming on really strong. I'd probably only have like a few more minutes. And then I went on the ground. I didn't like go on the ground like, like obviously I fell to the ground. And I had a seizure. And of course they have to call 911 because that's their protocol. And when you see someone having a seizure in public, it's, oh my gosh, they're having a seizure. It's epilepsy. They could die. But for pseudo seizures, it's like, oh my gosh, this person's having a panic attack. Let's give them space and let them calm down, protect their head. But of course, when you're in public, everyone thinks it's an epileptic seizure. So they called 911. My mom got there just in time. Apparently she was like speeding down the street because she was like, we just did not want to go to the ER again because the ER, they can't do anything for me. They give me some medicine and like, I just wait till the medicine wears off and then I go home. They can't do anything because my oxygen levels don't go down. My breathing doesn't stop, like all that. Like there's nothing physically going on, physically wrong. It's all an anxiety attack. So my mom comes and she's like, don't call 911. And I could hear her because this time I was able to hear everything that was going on. There are some times where I'm in a seizure and I can't hear anything that's going on. I can't understand anything. This time, of course it had to be the time that like it went awful. But this time I could hear stuff pretty clearly, if I do say so myself. This is the time I was probably ever able to hear stuff very clear. And so she comes in, she's like, don't call 911. And I was trying to come out of it because I heard her voice and I was like, trying to come out of it. And she like, I think she like was protecting my head and stuff and like, everything, like just doing what she was supposed to do. And she was like, come on, Caddy, because that's what they call me, Caddy. Come on, Caddy, like come out of the seizure. We can go to Target and get the Mash'ems and stuff. And like the Harry Potter Mash'ems. And because we've been collecting those for a little bit, for like the last like few days, for like now the last week. And she's like, come on, we can go to them. And I was like, almost coming out of the seizure. Like I was still in it, but at the same time I was like still not. And the paramedics show up. Darn. I was literally just about to come out of it, I think, too. And the paramedics handled it so poorly. So poorly. Now, normally I'm by myself at places and the paramedics just come, pick me up, bring me in the ambulance, take me to the ER, whatever. And this time, because I am 17, my mom can legally refuse to have me treated and to take them to the ER. And the paramedic was like, no. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, she's fine. She's about to come off it. Just give me 15 minutes. Because with PNES, just give them 15 minutes and they will most likely come out of it. And my mom was like, give me 15 minutes. Like, she's going to come out of it. And like, the lieutenant, I guess that's what people were saying he was called, handled it so poorly. And the two paramedics were like, all right, like, we know her. Like, we've picked her up from here and like the gym before. Like, it's fine. Like, we know her. Nothing serious is going on. But in the lieutenant, I don't think he's ever seen me or dealt with me. So, like, dealt with my condition. And so he was like, no, we need to take her into the ER right this very second. And my mom was like, no, she's a minor. I can refuse. Like, she just give me 15 minutes and I can get her to the car and we can go home and not have to go to the ER. And he's like, no. And so my mom was telling me that my hand was up, like, I don't even know, just like kind of up like this. Like, I was like laying down and my hand was just up like that. And she was holding me and trying to press my hand down. Like, I don't even know what she was doing. But so her hand was like right here on top of my hand. And the lieutenant grabs her hand and I guess starts squeezing it really hard. And she looks at him and goes, get your hand off me. And the paramedic goes, she tried to hit me. And she was like, no, my hand was on my daughter's hand. I wasn't trying to hit you. Like, why would I hit you? And so, like, I was hearing the argument. I didn't hear anything about, like, the hitting thing or whatever, but I heard them arguing. And it caused me more anxiety, so I started, like, having a seizure again. And then he was just like, because my mom's like, oh, I don't want her going to the ER. They can't do anything. They don't do anything for her. You guys give her medicine. We wait for the medicine to wear off, and that's that. And then, like, there's literally nothing they can do for PNES at the ER. And there's barely anything they can do for regular seizures at the ER just to make sure everything's okay. But especially for PNES, they can't do anything. So then they started having an argument, I guess. I don't really know what happened. But then all I know is they were like, we're gonna call the police and have them arrest you for whatever, for not wanting your daughter to go to the ER, and like, we're gonna put her in safety custody and stuff. And my mom was like, why? What is your reasoning to arrest me? And he's like, because you won't let us treat her or whatever. And she's like, this is a known medical condition. Nothing medical is going on with her. This is a psychological condition. Nothing medically is going on. And so I guess a police officer came or whatever. I actually ended up started crying in the middle of my seizure because I was able to hear arguing. And I remember hearing arrest. And, like, that's scary. Like, you're already under so much stress if you're the person having the seizure. And then you hear that they're going to arrest your mom and that you're going to be put in safety custody. Like, of course you're going to, like, start crying. So I'm having the seizure and I'm just crying, apparently. And there was no calming me down. So my mom was like, fine, just take her now. Like, thanks. Like, now because you're arguing with me now, she's not going to calm down now in 15 minutes. Like, this is traumatic for her. Like, you know. So they take me and they literally tried to put an IV in my foot. Do you know how bad that hurt? Because when I'm in the seizure, yes, there's times I have no idea what's going on. But that doesn't mean I can't feel you. That doesn't mean I can't feel that you are sticking me with a needle. And later on in the story, I'll tell you, like, how I figured out that they put an IV in my foot. But then they, like, put it in my hand. And my hand's still bruised from it. A week ago. It's still bruised. So anyway, so my mom, so before that, okay, so a few times, sorry, a little, like, getting off track, but a few times before, when my town's paramedics have taken me, I have fallen off the stretcher and hit my head very hard. There was one time where I hit it so hard that it made me come out of the seizure because it hit so hard. And my whole body just, like, felt paralyzed because it was, like, in shock that I hit my head so hard in the ambulance. And then, there's another time where I fell off the stretcher because having a seizure, and they didn't strap me in tight enough. So this time my mom tells and I told my mom, and I never said it in the ER because I guess I was, like, afraid, and I know the paramedic said nothing about me hitting my head or about me falling off. And I know that they didn't say anything because I was alert at that time. And also, I know that they knew because what did they say? They go, oh, and they say the S word. And get me back up on the stretcher. And so, like, they obviously knew about it. And they didn't say anything to the ER, but I didn't really, I mean, I'm 17. What do you expect? Like, I don't know what to say sometimes. Like, sometimes, like, what do you say? Oh, yeah, the paramedic. But, like, it's like, who are they going to believe? The seizure girl or the paramedic? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, sometimes, like, when that happened, I was just kind of like, you know, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I don't want anything, like, any drama or anything. But, I mean, I definitely should have said something. But anyway, so my mom yells, strap her in tight because the last 2 times you had her, she fell off. And they were like, oh, ma'am, she's never fallen off. And she's like, yeah, really? She told me. And she was mad. And she goes, you know what? I want to ride in the back with my daughter. And they go, no, you're not allowed. And now I'm 17. So I am a minor still. She is legally allowed to ride in the back with me. Until I'm 18, she's legally allowed to ride in the back with me if she'd like. And they were like, no. And so they were so mad at my mom. But the police officer came, he was just like, I guess he was like a younger officer. I don't really know. That's what my mom was saying. So he like seemed like not too new, but like not new. It's just like younger. And he was cool, I guess. And he was like, oh man, I'm just like driving your old car, I guess. You know, I guess he didn't really know what to like, you know, say. I don't know. And so literally when I got in the ambulance, they go, hey guys, we need to strap her in extra because she's the one who falls off all the time. So, yeah. And then, so I get into the ambulance. I'm still, like, in a seizure, hyperventilating. But of course I could hear them. And so they put the IV in my hand. They give me some Versed. Versed doesn't agree with me. Ativan agrees with me. Versed, no. So, and there's been times, I guess, where I've, like, been in the ER and I come out and I'm like, is Cleo doing the laundry? Where do I come up with this stuff? And, so anyway, fast forward a little bit. We get to the ER. I go into a vocal seizure. So it's just where I'm like, and I can't talk, can't move, like almost like, is it catatonic or, you know what I'm talking about maybe. And, I was able to hear everything they were saying, but just like really couldn't talk or move. Like I just really couldn't. And, so apparently what the nurse was so nice that had me as her patient this time. She was so nice. Nicest nurse I've probably ever had. And I've had some mean nurses and I've had some okay nurses. But then so we get to the ER, the paramedics say, oh, the mom's gonna come in being all mad and stuff, and like they're like, no, she's not. And they're like, yeah, she is, and like told her the story. And, like, they're like, she's met you guys, not us. And they say, what were you going to arrest her for? And he goes, oh, I don't know. And they were like, was she hurting her child? Is this child in danger? And they go, no. And they go, well, then what were you going to arrest her for? And they go, I don't know. That's just what our lieutenant basically said, that, you know, that's what we had to do. So anyway, I get to the meds, fast forward, you know, there for a while, and then there was a few times, apparently, where I sat straight up, like I was, like, laying, chilling out, you know, in my vocal seizure, and I sat up, and then, like, I would, like, do that a few times, and then, because I'm, like, intolerant, or, like, I have really bad reaction to medicines, so I had a really bad reaction to this Versed, and I ended up seeing snakes. So I was having hallucinations, and I was screaming, and I was crying, and the nurse was like, Katrina, we're going to give you new medication. We're going to get you more medication. Now, I didn't know what medication, like, I just knew the medication made me feel awful, and I was seeing these snakes, and, like, they were hallucinations, and, like, it was just awful. I was screaming, I was crying, I was scared, you know, it was just, like, a very traumatic experience, and then I ended up falling, like, sliding off the bed on purpose, I guess. And then they kind of held me down, and then I tried to bite the nurse because there was like 3 nurses, and then I tried to bite the nurse because I didn't want him putting medication in my IV, and then they like stopped me from biting him, and then they put me back up on the bed, so they gave me Ativan, which I agree with very well, so that's okay. And literally 10 minutes later, I was like, okay, can we go home? And I stopped having hallucinations, I stopped crying, I wasn't like freaking out, I wasn't having anxiety. But like before that, I was having so much anxiety, I was screaming, I was crying like crazy, and it was just very traumatic. And thankfully the nurses all understood, like, hey, she's having a bad reaction to this medicine, you know, she doesn't need to go into psych. And I was so thankful that they didn't put me in psych, because psych is very traumatic, and it's extremely traumatic for me. I'm sure it's traumatic for anyone who goes in there, but from my perspective, it's extremely traumatic to me, and I'm so thankful that they weren't like, oh my gosh, this girl's having hallucinations, like, put her in psych right now. Like, no, put her in psych. Instead, they were so compassionate and so nice, and was just like, you know what, this girl, Katrina, she's having a bad reaction to the medicine. She doesn't need to be in psych. She needs to just calm down. And the nurse just wanted me to go through all this at home. She understood. They all just wanted me to go home because they knew I didn't need to be there. They knew it was traumatic for me. And they just wanted me to go through this, like, you know, bad reaction to meds at home. So they give me Ativan, and the nurse, you know, explains to me after I calm down, she's like, oh, are you ready to go home? I'm like, yeah. She goes, did you think I was giving you the other meds and stuff? I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, like, I understand that and stuff. And she was so nice. And I said sorry, like, you know, for acting that way. And she's like, oh, no, it's okay. Like, you know, I understand. Your brain was just, you know, not having a good reaction to the meds. And then I went home, and we put a complaint in with the paramedics. I don't know what's happening with that yet, but my mom's talked to the chief paramedic twice, or firefighter, but I don't know, I think he's both. But yeah, so that's my story about last Tuesday. So I can keep you guys updated if you guys would like.